Hey everyone, it's Luke Ward here from ClientTribe, appointment setting agency. And in this video, I want to talk about Apollo and alternative sources of data. And what I'm going to start off by is explaining why using purely Apollo, only Apollo, is probably the reason why your outbound campaigns are not working as well as they could. And I'm going to explain why in this video. So firstly, I just want to make it clear that I'm not bashing Apollo itself in this video. I think it's an awesome tool. The amount of filtering options it gives you really lets you dial in exactly who you want to target. And that is awesome. And it is huge. They have a huge amount of leads on there. So what is the problem with it? Well, the problem is that everybody and their mom is using it all the time. And Apollo does limit the amount of leads you can extract from it, but there are plenty of services out there that allow you to download Apollo lists very cheaply, and they will scrape Apollo for you. And so that's what makes it even more sort of saturated. The leads that come up in those searches are coming up for you and everybody else. Sorry about this, having technical difficulties. There we go. So those leads are coming up in your searches. They're coming up in all of your competitors' searches as well, right? So the problem is everybody is messaging those leads all the time, and they're seeing very similar messages from you and other recruiters and other lead generation agencies. And so that's why things just aren't working for you. So what do you do? What do you do instead of that? Well, I'm not saying to completely stop using Apollo, but I'm saying to use it in conjunction with other tools. And if you use other data sources as a starting point to get, for example, a list of targeted companies that you're very interested in talking with, you can then put that list of domain names, for example, into Apollo. And then you can find decision makers in those companies. And that's going to allow you to find leads that might not be coming up in just typical bog standard Apollo searches. Okay, so those are some ideas, but I'm going to go more into detail in this video and give you some concrete examples. So let's imagine that you're a tech recruiter and you specialize in Salesforce engineers or Salesforce implementation specialists or everything Salesforce. There's a website called Built With. I'm sure many of you have heard of it before, but Built With gives you lists of customers of companies that are using certain technologies on their website. So it's $500 a month, but you can just pay for 1 month and have unlimited access to all of their lists. If you do try and go mental with it, as I have done, it will sort of block you for the day, and you have to appeal if you try and download 50 lists in a 4-hour period or something. It's a bit of a pain to use, takes a while to generate lists and then export them, but it does give you some decent filtering options, but ultimately it just gives you extremely valuable data. And like, let's say that you're an IT recruiter, maybe Salesforce is just one option. Maybe you also want to target companies using Oracle ERP or SAP. So you might be able to find those lists and all kinds of other lists. And it's not just technologies. You can find companies that are customers of certain agencies, marketing agencies, website design agencies. All of that is available in huge quantities on their website. So Built With, great starting point to build lists of companies, and then move that into Apollo to find decision makers and grow your list that way. So that's one example. Another example that I really love is LinkedIn Sales Navigator, because it doesn't give you quite as strong filtering options as Apollo does. And let's be honest, Apollo's data is mostly from LinkedIn anyway. But it gives you the most up-to-date data, and it does still give you very good filtering options. So from a recruitment perspective, a couple of things that I love to do with LinkedIn is, so the first thing is building a list of people who have recently changed jobs and who have been in their last company or their current company for at least 1 year. Because change jobs could mean a promotion or it could mean a transfer to a different department in the same company. But if they've changed jobs and they're in there, so change jobs, that filter, there's no time options, but it is by default 90 days, 3 months. And then if they've been in the current company for less than 1 year, there's a high chance that most of them are going to be people that actually changed company in the last year, in the last 3 months. And the reason why that is awesome is because that is a great starting point from which to build your lists. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of ways that you can use that data. It comes down to a multi-step approach to building lists. And so the first example is, let's see. The first example is, and this isn't my idea, this is an idea that I got from another cold email specialist out there who is very well known and goes by the name of Eric. Shout out to Eric. Anyway, so let's say that you have this list of people that have changed company in the last 3 months. You can then find through AI enrichment their most recent previous company and the date when they left, the month that they left. So for example, they left in, like right now is the 31st of October. Maybe you'd get some data that said they left in September 2 months ago, right? No, 1 month ago. So what can you do with that data? There's two things you can do with it. The first thing is you can reach out to decision makers in their department at their previous company with an extremely targeted message saying, hey, I noticed that John Smith left your company in September, which means I figured that you're probably looking for a replacement CTO or a replacement senior full stack developer, things like that. So that is one opening line that really gets people's attention. You can even mention that John Smith person's name, the person who left, in the subject line, because that would really get attention if you're messaging their boss who they resigned to just a month ago or 2 months ago. So that's one way that you can use that data. Another thing that you can do with that data is, let's say John Smith joined a new company and he is a sales development rep. So you can then find out who is the sales manager or head of sales or director of business development, in the new company. And then you can reach out to that person. Let's say his name is James Jones, because that's a normal name. And you can just say, hey, James, noticed recently you hired John Smith. You're looking for other SDRs to grow your team. So again, that looks like a super personalized message that is going to really get James Jones' attention. And also, because we know he recently hired an SDR, and those sales managers and heads tend to want to hire as many salespeople as possible because that's how they grow their company and their revenue and their teams. There's a high chance that he's going to be wanting to see more people. Another thing that you can do with that data is you can scrape John Smith's previous work experience from LinkedIn, and he might have talked about some achievements and some focus areas, and you can also scrape his previous company's data so that when you message James Jones, you can say, if you're looking for similar people to John Smith who have worked in ERP, manufacturing, Salesforce implementation, then, I'm just randomly spinning off the random skill sets here and experiences, then I've actually been working in this space and I've helped a very similar sized company in your space to hire 3 additional SDRs with that skill set in the last 6 months. Don't lie, tell the truth. But basically what I'm saying here is personalize the social proof if you have it, and explain why they should speak to you. Because you specialize in that area, you've achieved this, you've done this. You know what I'm saying? So I just said, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, those are two ways that you can use data of people that have recently changed jobs from enriching your LinkedIn data. And you can use AI prompts to do all of this, which can work extremely well. The only thing is you really need to check the data that AI gives you, because it can go wrong a lot of the time, and you're going to need to tweak your AI prompts repeatedly and just keep testing to see what works. So we've talked about Built With, and we've talked about LinkedIn. When you do use LinkedIn, I would recommend using a tool that can extract LinkedIn leads. The tool that I recommend is airscale.io, and it is a very powerful tool that does a lot of things, very similar to Clay, but a lot more affordable. And it can actually extract leads from your LinkedIn Sales Navigator searches, and then it can actually generate the email addresses of those leads if you want it to. It can also do all kinds of enrichments because it is linked to many other data enrichment sources, and it's also linked to Claude.ai and ChatGPT. So I highly recommend AirScale. What you can then do, let's say that you extract job changes in the last 3 months and you get their previous company and the new company domain names. You can then use AirScale to find decision makers in that last company, if that's the player you want to use, or in their new company if you want to contact their new hiring manager, their new manager, and ask if they need more people like John Smith. So use Apollo in conjunction with other tools. And I'm going to give you one last tip, which I think works really well, which is all over the internet there are tons of job websites that specialize in specific types of roles. So here are some examples. Built in LA, Built in New York, those kind of websites. They have a lot of local companies to those cities that are hiring for people, and they have jobs posted by those companies that you can scrape. There's also clutch.co, which is a list of, it's a website database of all kinds of agencies, especially marketing agencies, if that's someone you want to target. Remote job board sites is a great seed source for you to find companies that are hiring for remote jobs. And then from there, you can find the decision makers using Apollo or many other tools. And by combining Apollo with these other tools, you're going to get much more targeted lists that everybody else that only uses Apollo is not using. And you're going to have less market saturation. These people you're contacting are going to be receiving less messages like yours. And if you enrich the data to personalize your messaging to them, then you're going to see much greater success. So hope this video has given you some food for thought. If you would like me and my team to build these lists for you and run campaigns in order to help generate leads for your business and meetings for your business, then get in touch with me. My name is Luke Ward. You can find me at ClientTribe.com, or you can visit me on LinkedIn and send me a message there. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye.